hurricane, a tidal wave. Essence perfect, life looks brilliant. Give me more of this. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're burying me, burying me. Yeah, you're burying me, burying me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy, but the light has got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Get you out of my hand again. Is it wrong? Is it right? It's like I've won my final war without a fight. I'm out of control, about to blow. I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You bury me, bury me. I know you bury me, bury me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy, but the light has got me hypnotized.
Coming soon. To OLE. See you soon.
I am in misery. Everyone is watching me when I'm coming around. They all are judging me when I'm lying on the ground. I've got no shelter, I've got no escape. My life is a prison and I can't run away. I feel it in my bones, I'm losing it all. Stuck in my head, I am in misery. Deep inside myself, all I get, my only family. Stuck in the grave, can someone rescue me? I'm burning alive, I got it, I am in
Hello, everyone. I am OLED Ed Fries, and I'm joined by my tag team partner, the one and only, the natural Hollywood Astrid herself, the queen of our local establishment, Astrid Bizarro. Got to get all the nicknames in there, Astrid. You're collecting. You're like the Ultimo Dragon. You're just a nickname collector.
But I want to be Thanos, though. I want to collect all them rings. You know, give me a...
I mean, you can be Thanos if you want, but we're going to talk about the Nigerian Thanos in just a little bit.
Mm,
But why don't you go ahead and introduce our special guest before we start yelling at Andre?
I mean, I got her out of retirement, so I'm very happy about this. I'm going to say writer, my previous editor, because obviously we don't do it together anymore, and host, Santana. How are you, Santana?
I'm good. Yes, I only came out for you. Only because I don't really do anything wrestling like that anymore. But I came out for Ashley because she asked me, and I was like, heck yeah, because I love NXT. Like,
Yes.
probably top number 1 brand in WWE. I'm sorry, Raw and SmackDown doing their thing, but NXT is every
Number
week.
one
Is
brand worldwide.
It's
Agreed.
consistency. It's consistency every week. You just don't know what you're gonna get. So I'm happy to be here.
We also want to thank Auntie for popping in here and sharing 100 bits. We greatly appreciate it on the Twitch side. Thank you very much. And thank you all for joining us. We got a bunch of comments. We're gonna skip Andres because it's just him being an idiot, and it is what it is. No, we'll talk about that one later. Logan's jumping in and saying, "Hello, my match of the night was the women's Iron Survivor and the win for Giulia." He's apparently very happy that she pinned Delta. I didn't know Delta. I thought Delta had a really good showing, and again, we'll talk about that when we get to the main event. But I thought Delta had a really good showing in here. And he doesn't hate Shawn Michaels. I don't know. I don't know if Giulia was supposed to win that match. I'll be honest with you. The way that match finished, I'm not entirely sure she was supposed to win. She seemed really surprised that she won that match when they told her.
Real shock.
Again,
It was unexpected.
yeah. I'm being called a troll, which is fine. I will take that. That's fine. Auntie is happy that Andre's here. Andre C says the women's Iron Survivor, the men's Iron Survivor, NXT Underground, the tag titles, and the NXT title match. This match was so boring. We'll get to that. Andre also says that Giulia was destined to win that match. And we got Millie saying she's mostly lurking, but she wanted to be here to support us. Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate it, Millie. We hope all is going well with you. Will Chisholm's also said, my sister was at the show and I asked her, did I hear an RKO chant? Yes, you did. Because as we've said multiple times here and everybody else seems to understand it, Myles Borne is indeed Baby Orton. He's a very little baby Randy Orton. And I like that NXT did the thing when Randy came down for the St. Louis show. They didn't do it on the show, but they at least did the digital exclusive. Where Randy sees him and he's like, oh, you look like somebody.
I mean, you had to. You cannot miss that opportunity.
Right? I want it on TV, but I'll still take it.
I was going to say, I wanted it on the TV show, but I'm glad they at least gave us a digital exclusive, so it's there.
Right.
Yeah, I could see a Crash Orton, Crash Holly, Randy Orton combo there.
Yeah.
He does a lot of Randy Orton's moves, let's be honest. He understands the comparison, and he gives us to us, because he gives us that Randy Orton drop kick, too.
I want him to
Very, very high Randy Orton style drop kick.
Yeah.
But we'll get there. We'll get to the tag team match in the impressive, I believe, outing that was done by the Candy Crew. But we start where the show started. Ava, before the show on social media, tells us that there will be a fifth person, even though Eddie Thorpe is not cleared for combat tonight. And that this person has been chosen from either the NXT, the Raw, or the SmackDown rosters because the transition window is open and everybody's available. What did we think first as we go into this match of Oba Femi being the choice to fill the fifth slot? Santana?
I would say that I was not expecting it. I thought, NXT is known for pulling out swerves and everything when it comes to things. But when I saw it was Oba, I was like, yeah, he's winning. It would have been really interesting if he did not at all whatsoever. But I mean, he came in beast mode and he went crazy. So I'm not mad at him winning. I wouldn't have minded if Javon had won. I wouldn't have mind that at all whatsoever. But yeah, shout out to Oba. Shout out to the feminists, all of us out there who are fans of Oba Femi.
Yes, Oba feminist forever. I love my baby boy Oba Femi. I was very excited when that happened. Ashton, what about you?
I feel like it sounds weird to say, but I feel like I was not surprised. I was kind of hoping it would be somebody else, just so I would surprise myself if it happened like that. That's the best way I can describe it. So it didn't surprise me that it was him, but I'm glad it was him. I'm glad it was somebody that it's deserved of the opportunity, and he's definitely one of those people. He's definitely on that list, and it just makes me wonder because that means that he changed this trajectory of the whole match, because there's no way Eddie Thorpe was going to be in that role to win this match. The way I see it, it's like if you would have put Eddie in his position, that wouldn't have been Eddie's role. So I feel like I wonder how different the match itself would have been if Eddie had been in instead of Oba, though. That's a big, like, that's my what if for the moment for tonight.
What do we think that Eddie was ever actually planned to be in the match, or do we think that the moment they had him win the Fatal 4-Way, or when they had the idea for the whole thing, when they going back 2 or 3 weeks when he lost his initial shot? I wonder if this whole storyline is being told that this is just fuel for the fire. Because I had said, I think that, no offense to Eddie Thorpe, I think Eddie Thorpe is a fantastic talent. I think that there's room for him to improve, and I think that there's room for NXT vastly to improve, telling us the story of Eddie Thorpe. And I think that this will do great things for him with this heel turn, by having him taken out, by not being able to participate, and potentially, I think, don't even give him a shot at Femi between now and New Year's Eve. I have a feeling we're going to get a singles match between the two that Oba's just going to destroy him on. But I think the fun thing would be to do is to use this as fuel for that fire, that he got taken out of the match, like the Mustafa Ali Kofi Kingston moment. It took forever for Mustafa to get that opportunity back that he was supposed to have before a real life injury. At least Eddie Thorpe's is a kayfabe injury.
And I also wonder, to add to another layer to the story, being with how Oba's character is, I don't think Oba was the person that attacked Eddie, because Oba's the kind of person that would have celebrated doing it instead of doing it behind the scenes the way they did it. So I was like, so that adds another layer of the fact that Eddie's probably going to be mad at Oba, thinking Oba did it, but they're probably going to reveal later on it wasn't Oba to begin with. It was somebody else too. So I feel like there's two things that are going on here at the same time when this keeps unraveling later.
Yeah, we need to figure out who did attack Eddie, because I think the only reason why he probably got attacked was because of the situation that happened with Ava. And so maybe somewhere down the line that could add, another layer to the story of maybe someone from her family may have been the one that took Eddie out instead of Oba and everything. This was just an opportunity to put Oba in the match, and I think just to actually re-enter him back into something, since he lost the North American Championship. So that's what I think. And I mean, it's time for him to become NXT World Champion anyway.
Yeah. We had speculated on Tuesday night that we think it was either Hikuleu, one of the Tongans, from that is training at the Performance Center. He's not been announced as a signing, but he's been at the Performance Center from all reports. I don't think there's anybody even disputing the reports that he's been at the PC training for well over 3 or 4 months now, I believe, at this point. And we do know officially, because we've seen the photos, that Lance Enowahi is an official PC signing. He had his little class of 2024 photo with the rest of the members of that class, which included Zaria as well. So, I think Lance Enowahi is a really interesting idea for that. That's the one I pose as the idea. I think it's a great way to get him into a story right away. I think it can continue the heel turn for Eddie Thorpe. I think it continues this whole bloodline story, because we've already seen Lance Enowahi on WWE television on an episode of Raw where he took on Shane McMahon for Roman Reigns.
Yeah, we like to erase that from history.
We didn't erase it from history.
A little bit.
WWE television on Monday Night Raw. That's a good thing for Lance. Let's not erase that from history for this poor man.
Just a smidge.
What we definitely do want to erase, I'm sorry, is the first 5 or so minutes of this men's Iron Survivor, because I have never seen Wesley and Javon Evans as sloppy as they were in the first 5 minutes of this match. I love the two of them. I love the talent of Javon Evans. I'm hit or miss on the storytelling and the enthusiasm that he has. But as an in-ring talent, I've never once thought that he's anything other than ultra talented. However, I've never seen the two of them miss that many spots in a 5-minute span. And Wesley's been doing this for a and again, everybody can have a bad night. The ring could have been a little greasy. The boys could have just been a little bit too amped up. This isn't something we normally see from them, but they were the one that started this first 5 minutes. And these first 5 minutes, they were fun, but they sure as hell weren't crisp and clean. And like I said, I think that that's something we have to talk about when we talk about these two guys, because typically that's not a thing that we talk about with them. Their adjectives are they're fast, they're safe, they're always hitting their marks. I know, Ashford, I think you noticed it and you brought it up in the chat as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was watching it. Ironically, this is one of the few times my brother actually asked to sit down to watch wrestling with me, so I had to watch that one with him. And even him and Mike, we said at the same time, we said something's off with both of them. What could it be? Their timing was off. There was a one point at the beginning there that Wes is like bouncing from the ropes, and he slows down in such a way for Javon to do the spot. But it was so awkward the way he was slowing down, and I don't know what it was, and just like it was so very odd. So I'm glad like when Nathan got in there, that way they could have like a little bit of more space to like breathe in there. And I could tell there was a one point that Nathan kind of pushed Wes kind of towards that commentary area, and Wes was taking a moment there to like really take himself and compose himself. And I was like, I feel like he really needed that because when he came back, and I feel like he was doing better than he was at the beginning. Whatever it was, I have no idea. But that time it felt so awkward at first. I felt really bad because you're thinking this is the opener. These are two people that we're excited to see. They're usually fast paced, and it was kind of odd to see it. It definitely not something I'm used to from either one of them.
I think they were too quickly with trying to pin each other too. Like I think when you're thinking of Iron Survivor, you're trying to get your pins, rack up your pins, before the next person come out in the next couple of minutes, and so on and so forth. And I think that I get what they were trying to do. Start off with two people who are very fast paced to kind of hype up the crowd and get everybody into it. And it's like you have to be mindful of being too into it that you forget to hit your marks, forget to hit the spots that you're supposed to hit. And it seemed like they could have been just overthinking, overanalyzing things. But eventually they end up getting it together. But I mean, we saw what happened afterwards, because that backstage,
Afterwards, they got it under control afterwards, and the rest of this match proceeds really well. Everybody really mixes well. Nathan Frazer is a standout in this match at almost being a ring general. At times, he felt like the ring general in this match. There was a couple times he was calling spots. He really had his A game going on. Ethan Page comes out, and Ethan Page gets pinned right away, which was just so fantastic.
His character work is unmatched at this point. And I love it. Like I've said it before, he's one of those people that he doesn't care about embarrassing himself to entertain us. And you can see it happening through this match as soon as he enters it. Because it happened. My brother and I went, what? But at the same time, I see him and his reaction afterwards. I was like, this is what he does. And he continued to do that the whole match. And I enjoyed it so much from him.
Yeah, Nathan, he's so good. Like I absolutely love Nathan Frazer. I feel like he's just I don't know. Sometimes my eyes get cross-eyed trying to keep up with his speed in the ring, especially with those ropes. But I definitely do appreciate him being in the ring, and I also appreciate Ethan Page. I think that him coming over from a different company, you really do kind of get to see his star power and see that he has this personality. He actually has his character. He's a great talker. He's a decent wrestler. I give him that. But everything about him, I think that is absolutely great. I was not expecting him to get pinned that quickly and sent to the penalty box, but Ethan does a great job at what he does. It's nice to see him over here though.
Yeah. So we have a couple of early pins, I believe. Nathan pins Ethan, and I believe Wes pinned Javon early, right after Nathan came out. I think he gets the first pin on Javon. And that pretty much holds court until Femi comes out at number 5. Now, I normally don't like to yell at NXT production because normally they're top notch. This was Roman Reigns and AJ Styles' debut levels of infuriating, where they held the camera on the things going on in the ring as Oba's music is playing behind you. Like, what on God's green earth was that idea?
I swear, if I didn't have my sound on, I'd be like, who is coming out? Who is?
Me too. I thought it was a swerve because of the camera angle. Because I was thinking that over there because the music's going on, but we don't see him. But if you notice, by the time the camera angle went to him, he was coming out with the camera, so he wasn't even out with the music played. So I was like, that was so awkward. Why would you play the music so early if he wasn't even out to begin with? So I was like, this is the part that made me doubt that it was him, though, because I was thinking, nah, they're just swerving us because they're clearly showing Javon's face for a reason and not him.
Yeah.
And it took me a moment that when he came out, I was like, okay, it is him. I'm like, that was so odd.
It's leaving the camera on Roman Reigns during AJ Styles' debut in the Royal Rumble levels of what the fuck were you doing?
I'll never forget that.
No, I don't think anybody will ever forget. And I love it. If you watch it now, they've edited it with the extra camera. That footage doesn't exist on the network anymore.
They did.
Oba comes in Rex's house, and the booking from the moment Oba came out to the end of this match, in my mind, was spectacular because it allows Oba Femi to show that he can dominate top-tier main event level talent. But they still managed in 10 minutes to pin him, to make him feel like an absolute beast, and then to give him the comedy moment of the match with Ethan Page, where Ethan pinned him, laughed at him, gets pinned, and then has to go into the penalty box with him. And at one point, while Ethan's trying not to do it, you have the camera shot on Oba, and you can hear him yell through the cage, "Bring him to me!" I'm just like, oh, it was so great. And then he bounces Ethan off the entire penalty box. And Ethan never re-enters the match.
No.
Which is, it's so Ethan, and it's so great because it's exactly what Ethan Page needs. It's going to give him, and we saw it later, and we'll talk about it when we have the promo later, but it gives him that rationale for that promo that he cuts, but also lets us know that Oba's the star of this match now. Because the one person who could have overshadowed Oba, I believe, in this match would have been Ethan Page had he continued to be in this match in those last couple minutes.
Yeah, that was a funny spot. No lie. I live for everything about it. Honestly, the banging, him dreading this. Ralph was pushing him into that box. I was like, Ethan, you did it to yourself because you pinned him. You started laughing. You was teasing. You was trolling, and now you get pinned. Now you gotta go in. You do know you have to pay for what you just did, right? Trying to climb out the box, like, girl.
so good though. Like, Oba Femi's just smiling and salivating, waiting for Ethan to come back there. And they're two heels, which is the funny thing. Like, Oba's technically a heel, but like he's able to do these things because he doesn't wrestle like a heel. He's a clean heel. And I think that's the great difference between him and why him and Ethan worked here is because of the fact that they're allowing, a guy who they're booking as a heel, booking as a monster, but that the fans kind of love to tear apart this guy that fans love to hate, as pointed by Millie, where after the match, when they're showing Ethan in the pin to sell, and there's a kid to the side of socks right next to him.
And it had the arrow drawn down to point at Ethan. That's great. Like, who planted that there, actually? How did they know?
Sometimes it's pure dumb luck. Astrid, what did you think overall of this match? Now we kind of broke it down a little bit. What did you think of the match in its entirety?
I mean, I know, like we said at the beginning, it was a little bit of a struggle, but I'm glad it didn't last too long compared to the rest of the match. I feel like the rest of the match really outshines the beginning, so it makes you feel better in that end of it. And we also had the part that they had the four-way, they all kicked each other before Ova entered at the same time, and they landed all at the same time. I'm like, I like those moments that they feel like funny. And even Ova pinning Wes and Nathan and just giving him that, like, the 2 points at the same time. I was like, they made him look like a badass, and I thought it was funny also with Ethan there. It's like when he takes out the referee when Oba's going for a pin too. It's like we do know that we can get something out of this later between both of them, even as heels, just because they're such a different characters, and I love about that so much. But and again, as we saw a little bit later too, we get a little bit of the Javon and Wes happening as well. So this is what I like about the Iron Survivor, is the fact that you can get little storylines out of this, coming out of this match too, and we can already see the roots being planted for this. So again, I feel like overall it was a fun match. And like we said, one thing we also love about Iron Survivor is like the men's and the women's matches are always done so differently. They don't even feel like they're the same match. And just incredible to think about how NXT is able to do this. But again, I feel like they had fun with it. I had fun watching it. I enjoyed it. And I was very glad. I was also like bittersweet because, like, dang it, now we don't get to see it again. I was like, I want to see this again, and I can't do it. So,
Right. I agree.
Yeah, I thought
wait till next year.
this was fantastic. I thought it did exactly what it needed to do, and as I'll bring up in the main event, I liked having heels in this match because we'll get to that when we get to the women's Iron Survivor, and I know why they did it, but again, like, we'll get there. But this is why I love Iron Survivor. This is why I think Iron Survivor is the best version of the multi-man match, because it locks 5 people in for 25 minutes. And it doesn't overstay its welcome. It comes in, it does its thing, it goes home. And it gets everybody over at different points because you can give every talent their moment and their pin to put them over, to do all the things that they need to do to get over. It's the best stipulation match in WWE. By far.
I know how War Games, of course, used to be like in NXT solely before they moved it to the main roster. Do you ever think that the main roster would get an Iron Survivor match? Do you think they would kind of like move it that way? Because I feel like I love War Games, don't get me wrong, but I don't want it every year. I think there needs to be like I don't know, because it's Survivor Series and all of that, but I don't know. Sometimes they like to take things away from NXT that was like solely there for them, and bring them to the main roster and kind of downgrade a little bit. But that's why I was just like wondering, like, would they ever, bring that idea up to the main roster one day?
I think we're less likely to have that happen now with Shawn Michaels and Triple H's working relationship being vastly different than the Triple H and Shawn Michaels versus Vince McMahon working relationship. Because remember, Vince was still running the show when War Games got brought back to the main roster. So part of, as Mel will call it, the Dimension era. But
yeah.
If nobody else has anything else, we're going to move on to the second match on our card tonight, which was indeed NXT Underground. All right, hold on. I've got a full bottle of Haterade for this, but before I start partaking of my Haterade, does anybody have anything good to say about NXT Underground?
I like the crowd interaction. I appreciate that.
Do you mean the PC crowd, or do you mean the actual
crowd? Everybody that played a part. The people who was around the ring, cheering and hyping everybody on, and also the crowd participation too. I wouldn't say I hated that badly. I'm still trying to understand what is this NXT Underground is supposed to be like. I mean, it's I've seen movies, I've seen all the movies where people have fought on the ground, and everything. And I get what they're trying. I get what they were trying to do with this Lola and Jaida Parker feud. Jaida having won over Lola, and now they're tied. So now it's like, what do you do now since they're both tied? But I don't know. It was just a lot going on, and it just really didn't. I don't know. I don't want any more underground matches at all. I don't want it no more. I'm done. I'm sick of it.
So to put a little bit of perspective on this, for those that don't know how the WWE Underground / NXT Underground match started, during the pandemic, Shane McMahon was given reins to the third hour of Monday Night Raw to make it more gritty, more
Yeah.
And so he decided, because years ago, as we've now seen in the Mr. McMahon documentary, Shane McMahon wanted to buy the UFC. He's always had a fascination with cage fighting, with this idea of that style of fighting. And they've done it multiple times since then, trying to appease him, whether it be the Lion's Den match that we had between Owen Hart and Ken Shamrock, whether it be the NXT, what the hell do they call it? The Matt Riddle cage, where they have the cage and then they have the top platform. What's the name of that match?
Oh my god, I feel like I have it, but I don't at the same time.
Yeah, I know it's not called the steel cage. Like, they have a special name for it, but I can't. If you look up Seth Rollins versus Matt Riddle, it should come up.
Yeah, I'm trying to
The fight pit.
There we go. Fight
There you
pit.
go. Yeah.
Fight
That was
pit.
another time where they tried to appease Shane McMahon with this style by giving him the fight pit. So he had NXT he had WWE Underground during Raw, or Raw Underground, where they would bring in talent who weren't getting used properly, people who he thought could fight, and it was putting a spotlight on Baba Tunde, or now Baba Thunder, as he's now called in MLW. You also had stars like Jessamine Duke getting a little bit of I believe she appeared on a couple of episodes of Raw Underground.
Yeah, he did.
I know it gave a big spotlight to Shayna Baszler. It gave a massive spotlight to the Hurt Business. Nick Nemeth was a big part of it early on too. He was doing a lot of good work in that, because again, he's a real wrestler. He's a real kind of fighter type wrestler. There was a lot of good that was coming from that, but nobody could get behind Shane's vision of what he wanted, and so it fizzled out. I mean, it having ladies dancing on poles during the first episode probably didn't help it, but
no, not at all.
It then came to NXT in the form of a match between Eddie Thorpe and Donovan Dijak, where they had a fantastic NXT Underground.
Okay.
And then we enter the Lola Vice era of NXT Underground, where, because she's not capable of wrestling an actual wrestling match to a high enough degree to end a feud, they've now given her a particular specialty match that can let her shine so that she can end the feuds getting a win, to try to push her, because for some godforsaken reason, they think she needs to be pushed. Mind you, the only people cheering for her during this entire match were the PC people at the floor who were told to cheer for her. She beat Shayna Baszler, Natalya first, then Shayna, and now Jaida Parker. She has basically ruined the momentum of all three of those people every time she works with them. Because Natalya had a lot of good stuff going on in NXT, and they paired her with Lola Vice, and it ruined her momentum, and she hasn't even reestablished it on the main roster since. Shayna Baszler's slightly better, as she's now part of Pure Fusion Collective, which, by the way, I like all three people in Pure Fusion Collective. In the social media stuff between Shayna, Daria, I always want to call her Daria, Sonya Deville, and Zoe Stark is so good. If you haven't seen the newest one with Maxine Dupree, you have to watch it. It is hysterical. All of this, I'm trying to find good things to talk about because once again, you've given a talented wrestler who can wrestle, who can talk, who can, do everything you need to do, who you just had main event, or not main event, but you had in a women's title feud with Roxanne Perez, the last time Roxanne Perez had an actual feud for the championship. And Jaida Parker, who has everything she needs to be a star other than the push to get there. And she loses to Lola Vice in NXT Underground. And there isn't enough haterade in the world to make me say that that's a good decision.
Because it isn't.
I can't get around it. Like, Andre's excited. Andre was excited that he was telling us that it was the fight fit.
Who's people that are not you, Andre? That's what I want to know.
I want to be honest, because there are people. Trust me, on my timeline, there are people who do root for Lola. I'm not the person in particular at all whatsoever. Like, I get her whole thing. I'm a Latina. I'm gonna shake my hip, and I'm one too, but I'm not blastering everywhere. What I'm saying? I'm proud of my heritage too. But still, like, I'm not gonna make that like my character. You need to have something more. Like, I get it. Your background is MMA. We've had multiple MMA fighters: Ronda Rousey, Shayna, all the girls. Like, we have all of that before. We need something else. I feel like Lola has been given opportunities that she fumbled. When she won the NXT breakout tournament or whatever, she cashed in, failed. That's when I knew she was a loser. But then nobody want to believe me. They whatever. People only like because how she looks. You can't tell me. I feel like she has potential. She has potential to grow if she actually cut all the punchy air BS. I'm sick of it. Like, there's a lot more that you can do with that. I don't think she's a great talker either, because it just really seems really forceful when she does speak on the mic. It's like she tries to be tough. She tries to talk like she's still in MMA, in UFC. She still talks like she's over there. And it's like, I get the partnership they have going on, but this is WWE. You want to keep talking your UFC stuff, you need to go back over there. Maybe because I didn't even know her career over there, to be honest, when she came over here and started chatting about it. With Jaida Parker,
she's technically 4-1. She's 4-1. She never won. She won a championship and then promptly lost it, I believe.
Oh, girl, whatever. Who I didn't even know. Okay, championship opportunity, girl. Do your thing. But I mean, she might not get hit on the show because, once again, it's how she looks. She's a beautiful, attractive woman, and I hate to say it, but people did the same thing with Mandy Rose. Attractive woman. I feel like she was okay and decent in the ring, and I would give it. She had a really, really nice NXT Women's Championship run. She really did. She was given opportunities because she worked her way up. She had to. You know what I'm saying? And that's the only thing I would give Mandy Rose, and I'm not a fan of her either. But I will give credit when credit's due. She did what she had to do. And I feel like if Mandy is average at best, then Lola is what?
Below average? We
need to do some mathematical problems. We need to do some problem solving around here, because if Mandy is average at best, and she was in a match with Mason Takamura and Blair Davenport, I don't know. But with Jaida, I feel like I do like Jaida Parker. I do. I do want her to. I feel like she has gotten better in the ring, but I feel like she can be a lot better. I don't think she knows what her move set is. I don't think she knows what her. I mean, her hip attack thing she got going on. Listen, she said she ain't got no finisher. Whatever she pull out and wins with, that's her finisher for the night. I don't mind it because I like her attitude, but I feel like with her, she has a lot of growing to do, and the crowd is really behind her too. Like, crowd is behind Lola, but the crowd is behind Jaida, Miss Parker, like heavily. And I root for her because I feel like she can do a lot. But in this match here, it did not benefit her at all whatsoever. The whole brick situation, please let it go. This is not no Friday. This is not Craig versus Debo in that fight outside Stanley's house. There's none of that. Leave the bricks at home. Like there was just too much trying to be added to make this match better, and it just fumbled immediately. Everything about it. Remove Underground. Okay. Let's let this be the last thing. I need y'all to put Lola in the match. If she lose, we canceling the Underground.
Santana with the best part of the night. We can end the show right now. Good job, everybody.
We can't get we do have other things we need to talk about. But
do we though? That was great.
We do. There was a wonderful main event that I still want to talk
there
about.
Was. That yes. Really made up for how terrible that Underground match was.
And then there was anything to add to this?
No.
This part though, okay, because I like I said, I was watching it with my brother, and there was at one point that Jaida goes for the pin, and the referee's like, can't do anything, and then my brother's like, but why would she do that? And I was like, well, the only thing that she can say from her character is like she's not used to the NXT Underground environment the way Lola is, so she is naturally gonna wrestle. She's gonna go for the pin, and he's like, really, you're gonna use that excuse? And I was like, they can say that that's the thing, well, because it's the first time in the Underground versus Lola has that experience. But I said it in our Discord with Mark, and I'll say it here because it's the same point of view. I'm not changing it. And I've said it before. I hate the fact that NXT Underground used to feel special because there's something that happened like once in a blue moon. But if you do it now every time to end Lola's feuds, it's gonna lose what like the uniqueness it brings to NXT when you do it. So it's not gonna feel right because it's just gonna feel like at this point it's gonna be like repetitive, especially because she's winning it. So it's like I don't want to see it anymore. It doesn't have that special feeling to it. Like it's something that you would like watch like maybe once a year, to put it like that. But and then if you got the point of not only do you have NXT Underground, like you've done it 3 times now in a row, but the point that she's always winning, it doesn't add great factors to me during this match. And the fact that we also add another part to it, that they always make her look like she's injured during the match, so we get, oh, she broke her hand and she won it with her hand broken. Huh? Really? That's what we're gonna go for? And it's like we get to, it's like a template, but we just change the other person going against her at this point. And I don't like that part of it because we're just protecting her by giving her a match that she's good at. We already seen it.
I think they're trying to give her an undefeated streak. And then, every time she has this, it's just going to be like the next person. And then it's going to be like until somebody actually beats her. Now, Shayna, I promise you, I was so mad. I was livid when Shayna lost to Lola. I was like, you gotta be joking me. Shayna, who's a far more better wrestler than Lola Vice, loses to Lola Vice in something that is definitely could be meant for Shayna Baszler. Bring down Oscar. Oscar, handle her, please. You can knock
bring
her out.
anybody.
Kyrie saying backhand people all the time. Get active, because like I would.
Andrade does the better version of what Lola does. 17 times better, and it's not his finish.
No. It's beautiful. It's not even his finish.
For Andrade. Yeah. I will say I want to pop up a couple of Andre's comments because he is a Lola Vice man and he is always consistent with that. He says that we're only saying it's not special because we don't like Lola. No, the special. I wouldn't mind the fact that even if it was Lola's thing, like, so here's the difference. The difference between something feeling special and being tied to a superstar. Hell in the Cell for a long time was tied to The Undertaker. A casket match was tied to The Undertaker. But the reason why a casket match in the Hell in the Cell, when it was involving The Undertaker, felt special is because of the fact that it didn't end all of his feuds. It would come out every now and then, mostly once a year. Once every year or two, we have a casket match. And yes, they started overdoing it at the end. And with Hell in the Cell, it took on a life of its own, which is fine. And then they ran it into the ground by having it as a yearly special. Like that lost its special luster because of WWE things. And that's fine. And I agree. If we had two different people in NXT Underground, it would be better. Yes, that's what we're trying to say. We want to stop seeing Lola in NXT Underground and have it feel special again by having it randomly pop up with people who need it, and not just Lola Vice to end a feud because she can't win a wrestling match convincingly enough to satisfy the people. He also says that he listens to plenty of other wrestling podcasts that don't give her the hate that they do. And I can't, sure, maybe they don't. Maybe they're fans of Lola Vice. I don't know what they're watching.
You know what they're watching. No, exactly.
Don't blame Lola for this. It's WWE fault, not her. I blame Lola for one thing and one thing only: not being able to properly learn how to professionally wrestle. Because if she could wrestle matches better, we wouldn't be in the predicament we're in now. That being said, we're also going to go to Will, who's on the other side, and I think he's gone too far to the other side. He said, HBK, it's okay. You've got a big Latina star who's a great worker. He's obviously talking about Stephanie Vaquer. You can let Lola go or send her to Japan, see them make her goo. Now, I think he means make her good.
Good, yeah.
And I'd be all fine with sending her to Marigold, sending her to Sendai Girls. I think those are two promotions in Japan that you could easily send her to see if they can get her ring level up. Because we've seen with Tavion Heights, who we're about to talk about in a minute, his trip to Noah transformed a boring, bland guy on the roster into a guy who can be a star in the tag team division. With that said, we are going to move on to the tag team match. Astrid, we're going to start with you. These are your boys.
Of course we are. I mean, Fraxon is fine. They're totally fine. No, I love the part leading up to this first because they're backstage. Nathan has the taped up ribs, the I guess the cotton ball up his nose because he was bleeding through the Iron Survivor, and it's like, amigo, you got this. The best way he can go about it. But now Axiom does the heavy lifting, right, Nathan, right? I think he goes at it for this one. I think it was interesting when you get Nathan wanting to start the match because you kind of expect Axiom to do that just because he's the healthier one of the two. But he doesn't last too long in this match before Axiom gets in there. And Tavion is just the MVP of this match. The man was a beast. There's no other way to describe him during this match. Everything he did, I can't even keep up with him at points, and that was very surprising. There was even moments that he was mat wrestling with Axiom, and that was even just great alone, just that alone itself. But yeah, it's I enjoyed the chemistry they have with them here. Myles doing his drop kick, his Randy drop kick that was super high up at one point that he did with Tavion. I mean, I didn't know what to do at this point, but even the ending though, towards the ending I loved because we usually get that Spanish Fly Phoenix Splash combination to end the match, and we thought that was the end of it. Tavion coming to break the pin, and then Axiom just kicking him right as he gets up. Like the timing of that was just amazing to watch. And again, it's like Tavion was just incredible. The energy that he had during this match, he was all over the place. It was I like how he was doing the mat wrestling and being the way he wrestles, but also being as quick as Nathan and Axiom are usually in this match. And it was incredible to watch it in his own style at the same time. And again, that was just incredible. The close falls that we had here, I'm glad that Axiom is the one that got the pin for this match and retained for both of them. And the way that Nathan was just hugging him, it's you basically did it because I was just out of it for this one. But again, I'm glad they retained because I was a little bit scared though because after Nathan was on his knees. Actually, I had a little bit of a distance behind him, and I was like, "Oh no, it's coming!" And I was just waiting for the heartbreak, and it just didn't happen because he moved, and I was relieved, and I'm alive again.
Santana?
I've had too many tag faction breakups this week. I don't need any more drama and sadness in my life. But I love Nathan and Axiom. I would have to say that they're probably definitely for me wise, they're definitely probably top three for best tag team NXT tag team champions. Like there have been moments where I thought they could lose these titles and they continue to prove me wrong. And I don't feel like they have bad matches. I feel like everybody that they've been in the ring with tag wise have it's been nonstop. Like this is awesome. Like you got to be kidding me. This is really happening. This is really going on, and I appreciate them a lot. Tavion, he's going to be something really special. If he ever chooses to break out and be a single star, I want so much for him because he's truly talented, and you don't really have a lot of new talent in NXT that have that ability that he does, and I think he's absolutely amazing. Myles is absolutely amazing too. The more I actually choose to pay attention to him because I get distracted by the Randy Orton that I look and see. But I appreciate him a lot more too, just paying attention and actually seeing where they started and up until now. But I'm glad Axiom and Nathan kept those titles, to be honest, because I don't feel like they're losing them anytime soon.
I gotta re-up on my haterade. Hold on.
Oh no!
Are you hating this match?
No, I hate the result. I love the match. Everything in the match is fantastic, right up until Nathan and Axiom somehow get through this match again.
Hmm.
I don't. I want single star Axiom. I want single star Nathan Frazer. I wanted this to be the end of their tag team stuff.
Mhm.
And I thought the Candy Crew was the perfect people to put these titles on because you have, as we've seen with the Battle Royal, while they're not all great teams, there is an abundance of tag teams in this division. And to continue to have Nathan and Axiom on top of this division over and over and over again is making the discrepancy between the champions and everybody else so significant that it's really hard to see anybody else winning. And I thought you had the perfect opportunity here with reason why Nathan Frazer can't be Nathan Frazer tonight. With Axiom knowing that he has to carry it all on his back and not being able to do all of that to beat two people by himself. I thought the booking of the match was relatively pretty good. I would have had less Nathan Frazer in this match, at least less Nathan Frazer on top in this match. I think having seen Nathan Frazer be either nowhere to be seen and having Axiom have to wrestle most of the match on his own, I think would have been a really more interesting thing. If maybe Nathan couldn't make it out to start the match, and maybe he comes out halfway through. You know, he guts it out, finally gets out there halfway through, makes the hot tag. If you're going to do Axiom and Nathan winning, I think that's the style that I think you would want to do. The other thing that I dislike about this match, and more importantly about the Nathan Axiom team right now, is the fact that we have that chase you blip in the middle of this. This is essentially one really long title reign with like a 3-month chase you blip in the middle that you basically just cut out and put somewhere else. Yeah. Because that was all in service of trying to build Ridge Holland. Which is fine, but at the end of the day, nobody really poses a problem to Nathan and Axiom, a real serious issue. And unless NXT plans to keep them together for a longer period of time, I think now was the place where you do it. This is where you pull the trigger And I think you can turn even better. I think you can turn Axiom here. I thought this is where you turn Axiom, where you have him beat down a beaten Nathan Frazer and be like, I lost my titles because you were too busy focusing on yourself again. Because remember, this all goes back to Nathan Frazer in the speed tournament. All of the problems within Axiom go back to Nathan Frazer putting himself in the speed tournament. And Axiom's always the one doing it after the fact because Nathan makes it okay. And I think it would have been really fun to have had Axiom have to pick up the pieces and not be able to do it, and then be able to go at Nathan and be like, no, you're the reason why this is happening to me, turn him heel. And I think that while we don't necessarily need another top heel in the division, I don't think he needs to stay heel long. I think he can be a heel move to just fight Nathan Frazer, and then he can kind of teeter-totter on the heel-face dynamic. Everything else in this match was great. I thought that Myles Borne absolutely stepped up his game in a major way. I think Tavion Heights tonight proved that he is a completely different person than any other time that we've seen Tavion Heights. The work in Noah has been sensational for him. He has come back a completely different athlete since that tour in Noah with Josh Briggs. And I'm hoping that we get to see more of Josh Briggs after that Noah tour, because I think we're going to see a better Josh Briggs coming out of it. I think the two of them probably had a lot of really good things happen there. Charlie Dempsey is also a really big part of this, whereas Charlie Dempsey has made both of these guys who could be kind of bland and boring on their own feel important. They feel like they have this little bit of stuff going on between the two of them. And there's nowhere for them to go but up because they're so far down, down the pecking order. And I thought even if for a short period of time, you have them win, you have them feud with OTM, and then maybe you put the titles on it, you kind of bounce these things a little bit between a lot of these teams that don't have that big presence right now. And you can put the titles on the Candy Crew for a period of time, and then put them on OTM, and then put them on Hank and Tank, and then put them back on Gallus, or put them on TNT. There's a lot of teams that could really use a lot of, hot potatoing this title a little bit here. And I'm not saying every week have new champions, but every couple of months have a title change happen, because these teams are a lot closer than anything else. Bring in the family again with Stax and Ruca. I think there's a lot of room to do that. But no, I thought this was a great match with just a baffling result, because I don't know what you do with the champs from here.
Two things though. I like how we all talked about this match. We didn't mention that OTM came out during the match.
I was going to say that.
And second of all, Ed, you said Hank and Tech. Are you okay? There was something else in the hater in there that you missed?
Gallus, though?
Yeah, Gallus.
Seriously?
I love Gallus.
You said Hank and Tech, though. I'm so pissed about that. There's something else in that hater too.
So Hank and Ted, while I dislike them severely, and I do, they're one of few babyface tag teams in that division. And the crowd, for whatever godforsaken reason, is behind them. And again, like I said with Kalani Jordan, give them a championship for a short period of time. See what it does to their confidence. If you're going to bounce these tag titles around a bunch of different teams who are all kind of mid at best, because I like OTM, but they're mid because of their booking. I like Gallus. I think they're great, but because they've been poorly booked and they're almost never here, they're kind of mid. They're the best of the rest, but they're not the top tier Gallus that they were in NXT UK. Where
I also noticed
they were on the main roster.
I don't remember they were. I'm trying to remember if they were in the meeting with Ava, But it's ironic that at this time when we have so many teams fighting with each other and they're all coming out every single week leading up to this tonight, there was no sign of Idris and Malik in here.
There's never any
One
a lot of signs of them.
of them's injured, isn't it?
I don't remember at this point because I feel like it's been a while.
I know
I feel like they
Mm.
only use them for certain things. Like they only use those two for like certain times. Other than that, I don't see them at all. They're never talked about in the tag team division. They're never talked about, and it's like those two are actually a really, really good pair. Their chemistry together as a team is amazing, and when they're in the ring, I have no issues. But they don't get seen as a tag team that could actually go after the titles when they can truly benefit from those tag titles a lot. So I don't. Sometimes it just makes
Last
me feel
time we
comfortable.
saw Idris and Malik, it was during the Sean Spears stuff with Brooks
Yeah.
Denson. They attacked Sean Spears, and then Brooks took out one of them backstage, and then he wrestled the other one in the ring, and then they were never heard or seen from again. And I want to say that they wrote off whoever they attacked backstage, because I believe there's an injury there. I would love to know that, but Andre says as soon as Axiom dropped kicked Frazer off the top rope, he knew they were retaining. Will jumps in and says, HBK said, I want them to win the tag team of the year. So I'm going to, but I think you can still give them tag team of the year without the championships. They held them most of the year. I don't think they need to keep holding them to lock that down. Plus, who else would potentially win them? And get the tables. If you need a great place to do watch-alongs for NXT products, you go watch Get the Tables. Tony is fantastic. We appreciate all the support when he jumps in here every now and then when he can. He says Tavion was great tonight and the future is bright for him after tonight. I have no idea who's going to beat this team. Again, that was one of the like I said, I dislike the ending of this match because it's just where do we go from here? Hopefully Chef John has some ideas. He is right above Santana's head, so look out. Hot take. I think that the North get back together and take the tag titles. That's a possibility.
Where's the petition to sign for that?
The North is the tag team of Josh Alexander and Ethan Page.
Oh, well, I mean, Josh is soon to be a free agent. So, I mean, if he wants to trickle on down over to NXT, oh, baby, they I don't know who gonna beat them. Because Josh is a beast. Alexander, like, I don't know. I don't know who's gonna be now. I know we're talking about Axiom and Nathan, but Josh, I don't even know who's gonna even beat that man.
And they did turn Josh heel on his way out the door at Impact. So it would make sense that he would come back, especially if we keep Ethan off TV. If we don't see Ethan again for 2 or 3 months,
this could be a way to enter him in.
The other thing that we need to mention when we talk about Ethan Page and Josh Alexander is, especially with Ethan Page specifically because he's signed, this transfer window. This could be the last we saw of Ethan Page in NXT. Because I wouldn't be surprised if we see a move where Ava trades an Ethan Page and Trick Williams to the main roster and we get, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily be upset if we got Andrade and a female talent off the SmackDown roster. Maybe a Naomi?
I don't know. I feel bad for NXT in this transfer window because I feel like we're gonna get ransacked again, like what happened during the draft, and then we're not gonna get anybody.
Yeah, it's gonna want to get maybe 1-2 people, and then you think somebody's getting drafted, and then it's like, oh no, you're staying here for the 15th year in a row.
STG also says Ed on the hater in and Astrid provoking it.
What did I do? No, I'm not provoking anything.
It was also said the way Ethan acted tonight, maybe Josh is on his way. Yep, because it's right about here that we get the Ethan Page backstage promo. What we get to the Javon Evans Wesley promo, which is more of them doing the same thing they've been doing for the past 2 months. It's fine. I like Javon in this one. I thought Javon was really, really entertaining and great in this. But it's more of Wesley coming in, hey, young pup, you got to stop acting happy when you lose. I was like you for a long time, and now look at me. This is your future. Look, this is what you're going to become if you keep losing.
He's going to cut his hair?
Mm-hmm.
What was that, Santana? Sorry.
No, I said he's going to cut his hair off.
Maybe.
This is the future? Because don't do that.
Was the guy that Javon grabbed in like a headlock, was that Brogan Finley that he grabbed? I almost want to say that was Brian Connor, wasn't it?
I don't know. He still felt a little bit longer, but I don't know. I have to look back at it.
Okay.
I know there was a couple of people that I recognized from in the NXT Underground that were not people from the PC, mind you, just so you know.
Yeah.
No, I call them PC talent because normally they fill them with people that we don't know. But I want to say that I thought I saw Brogan Finley out there because we might as well not know about him as Uriah Connor hasn't been on TV in God since he debuted.
Yeah.
In the breakout tournament.
I know one of them was Kaya McKenna. I know I saw her front and center in that NXT Underground. I was like, I know that which one I see her, but then I wasn't sure. But then I was correct.
Will also jumps in saying, now we know Charlotte not letting them send her to NXT.
Oh, he'll be home more often. So.
Yeah, she's not letting them send Andrade in. I mean, we'll take them both. It's fine. I wouldn't mind another run with Charlotte down here. With Giulia, with Zaria, with Stephanie. I wouldn't mind her mixing it up with them.
I wouldn't, but then she's the kind of person that she'll get the championship instead of them, and I want them to get it, so that's the only thing.
And we also don't know what era Charlotte's going to be in when she does return back from her injury, too. That's the real thing.
Yeah. When she makes her debut, apparently she is healthy and ready.
She's defrosting.
Royal Rumble is when she will return.
I was going to say, based on her Twitter. Yeah.
Number 15, because that's Charlotte's favorite number when she enters the Royal Rumble.
Oh. Yep. Well, as long as she doesn't heat up the same way that CMLL decided that a wonderful former TNA Impact champion was the right decision to bring down there for their women's division. Anyways, moving on and not taking shots at other companies, we move on to Ethan Page backstage in the garage, I think.
No.
It seemed like a garage. Like, I don't know what this was attached to the armory. But he cuts a great promo here where he's like, I came in here and in 4 matches, I won the championship. I was the champion and everything was on my shoulders and I had done everything right. And since then, I got my rematch and I failed. I earned myself a number 1 contendership again. And then I lost that championship match. And then I earned the spot to be in this match tonight. And I failed. He's like, it took me 18 years to get here and to win a championship. To win the championship, he called it. And he goes, it's not going to take me 18 years to figure out what to do next. But I sure as hell know that whatever I'm doing isn't working. And he basically says he's done. He's like, I'm done here. And he just walked away.
I do like Ethan Page. I absolutely do. But I think that's a load of BS. Girl, you just got here to NXT. You can't do this. Now you're giving up. You haven't even been here long enough to even say you can give up. Like, I mean, I get it, foreshadowing some things, this may be a way to, like we talked about earlier, maybe we just don't see him for a while, and then he comes back and then he's not alone, or maybe he shows up to either talk to Adam Pearce or Nick Aldis or something to see if there's a way he can work his way up to, being sent through the portal with Doctor Strange and all the other people. And maybe we'll send somebody else back or anything, but You haven't even been here long enough to even say like, you just giving up. You don't know your way back. You'll find it. Not in that parking garage, but you will find it somewhere. I'll tell you that. You will.
There you go.
We've got Dr. Sonic version 2 jumping in. How was the pay-per-view? I missed it. It was pretty good. There were 5 matches on the show, 3 of which I agreed with, 2 of which I was like, oh, that's interesting. You know what? Just skip the NXT Underground. You'll be better off for yourself.
Yeah. That was like a slow
overall
down.
Good show. We then get a segment with Ava backstage with Sarah Schreiber where she's promoting the Lowell show that I'm going to in just over 10 days from now. I thought she was going to start making some announcements for that show. She was like, Wesley versus Javon Evans. And I'm like, yes, in Lowell, right? She's like, next week. And I'm like, hey.
It's like, Lowell, when are we going?
And then we get, and I haven't been able to play this graphic on this show in forever.
All I have to say now is it's Tiffy time.
Yes, my favorite, Tiffany Stratton, was back. She's still in Minnesota after being on SmackDown last night in Minnesota. She came back to go ahead and talk to us here. And she says, so I hear that Roxanne is taking on the winner of the Iron Survivor. And Ava really made it feel like Tiffany thought that was happening tonight. And she's like, no, yeah, that's happening in LA on the first show of the new year. And she's like, maybe I'll be there. And I'm like, oh, you're not coming to Lowell then either, are you, Tiffany?
No, and we should get a Tiffany Epiphany. We haven't heard that in a while.
We have not heard about the Tiffany Epiphany in a while.
I love seeing
Tiffany Stratton. I will never be upset seeing Tiffany Stratton on my television screen.
I do love her when she said it. She's like, that only happens here. I was like, I'm just saying, woman. It was only going to happen here.
She didn't have an epiphany somewhere else because that's where they got Tiffany. You go down to NXT to cash in, we're going to have a problem.
I agree. The last thing this woman needs to do is cash in on Roxanne Perez.
But then what if you fumble? Now I'm going to really be mad at you because you went down there and you messed up. You should have just did a Survivor Series and called it that.
Really?
You had 2 options. They were both laid out on the ground.
Right? You could just do both of them at the same time. You got both titles. Can we do that?
Right. Let's make Tiffany a 1,300 day reign as undisputed women's world champion.
I don't know. I prefer Deadline because I prefer the Iron Survivor over War Games. But I mean, that's kind of a take your pick. I think there was some interesting storytelling and things done on Survivor Series. But I think that they're similar shows in a lot of ways. There's some decisions on those shows I agreed with. There were some decisions on those shows that I went, that's interesting. But we're now on to trying to think. This is the main event now, right? Oh, no. I'm sorry. We're going to talk about Trick Williams.
No. We don't have to talk about that. We do not have to talk about that, man. We can go to the women's Iron Survivor. We don't even have to think about it at all whatsoever. I promise you. Do not watch that match if you miss that line. Don't even waste your time. Don't even. Because I don't care about either one.
Trick Williams defeats Ridge Holland in the most boring match of the pay-per-view. So our friend here at our local establishment, Mark Talks Wrestling. He's a great guy. I love Mark. However,
do you?
No, not really. But I'm told that I have to say it.
Oh gosh.
I'm told to be nice to Mark. What I will say is I will read word for word his tweet about this match. Well, I'm sorry, it's not a tweet. It's whatever the hell we do on Blue Sky. I don't know what the hell we call what we do on Blue Sky. It's a post. Okay. Anyway,
I call it a post for now.
In the cloud.
He says, and I quote, pulling up my call. Ridge has made incredible strides in the ring, His performance was nothing short of fantastic, and I can't wait to see what he does next.
I need a moment after this.
I have never disagreed with Mark more on anything in my entire life than the statement that Ridge has made incredible strides in the ring, except with the fact that his performance tonight was nothing short of fantastic. No, so in all honesty, Ridge did a lot better than I thought he'd do. Granted, the bar I had set for him was incredibly low. So he could, as long as he didn't stumble, he could walk over the very low bar that I had set for him. I think Trick carried this match fantastically. I thought not seeing the whoop that Trick Williams was an incredibly smart character decision by both Trick Williams, Shawn Michaels, and whoever booked this match. Seeing a slightly more angry side of Trick Williams was the only good thing that this match had going for it. I thought Ridge did exactly the amount of things he needed to do to get through this match. I won't say it was great, but he didn't have a bad match. It wasn't an entertaining match, but it wasn't a bad match. And at the end of the day, the thing I wanted to have happen happened, which is that Trick Williams didn't lose. And we have Trick Williams versus Femi coming up at New Year's Evil.
I do want to say
good positive on this match.
I do want to say that the crowd should go to jail for chanting "This is awesome" because y'all lying. There was nothing awesome about that match outside of the victory. And I'm not the biggest fan of either of these gentlemen. I'm definitely not a fan of Ridge after he did to my college. You will rue this day. I'm telling you. Okay, it takes you forever. You will rue this day. You ruined everything that we had rebuilt again after JC Jane did what she did. And I'm not done with her yet either. So it's a lot of y'all that I got an issue with. But the crowd should go to jail for chanting "This is awesome" because nothing was awesome about it.
Astrid, I don't know how you can follow that up, but you got to.
Santana's gonna kill me by the time this is done. Oh my god, I've cried here. I feel like not only was I not interested in this match to begin with, I'm glad it was not the main event. Great job, Sean. I'm glad it was not the main event to begin with. But I feel like after that tag team match, putting this match on this particular spot, that was even worse, to be honest. Because I was like, I was on a high from the tag team match. And then this match happened. I was like, I can tell you not even 5 things that happened to it because I was so out of it. I was not paying attention the way I was wanted to pay attention. Like Ed said, it just like I feel like my favorite part was like that we got a different side of Trick tonight. That was more like in the zone than he usually is, just because he was facing somebody like Rich. The part that really got me was that spot on the ropes. My brother had walked down and I said, "You missed the spot." And then when he came back and they showed the replay, he's like, "Well, I'm glad I missed it." And that part was obviously, but it was so freaking scary watching that. And Trick's facial expression during this, and the referee struggling to get him out of it. That was the only part that I went, oof. But I'm glad that Trick retained. I just don't know how you can pick up Rich after this though, because it wasn't even like a long match or anything like that. It was like one of those moments like, how do you recover from this now to this guy after everything he's done? So I hope he doesn't get a rematch. I hope we just move on to Oba, because I know that Oba and Trick will be a lot better than what we had tonight. So yeah, I don't know if that means I drank a little bit of haterade, but I guess I did.
I want Oba to be Trick. I'm not gonna lie. I do. I want Oba to. Yeah. I don't know where they take Trick, but to be honest, I am not happy with his reign at all whatsoever. I know it's not really his fault, but I already had my own comments about Trick way before he even became NXT champion. But that was That was back in my heyday when I used to be violent on the internet. But I'm a changed person now, so I kind of keep my comments light.
So here's the thing with Trick. I love Trick. I think Trick has the crowd in the palm of his hand. I think he has charisma up the wazoo. I think he's incredibly talented. I think his in-ring talent is a bit hit or miss. And me and Astrid are both very, very much on the same page here. The matches with Carmelo Hayes after the fantastic way they built that feud were absolutely pitiful from the two of them. In comparison to the greatness of the matches that him and Ilya had.
Mm-hmm.
Like, him and Ilya had such, and again, a well-built feud with finishes that were fantastic. Those matches were great, the matches he had with Ilya. The matches he had with Carmelo are so bland in comparison that it's kind of a shame. And it's why I was hoping that we get one more chance at them trying to do it right by having Carmelo as the fifth man to come out there and win the Iron Survivor and take on Trick, to hopefully rewrite that and find a good match that we can have for them to finally end that. But no, I'm glad Trick won. Obafemi's going to win the championship at New Year's Evil, and the Oba feminists will be happy, and it will begin a new year with the reign of Obafemi. Long years may it break Roman Reigns' streak.
Please. Don't know if that's going to happen, but it would be nice.
It won't, but again, I can dream. I'm close enough.
Yeah.
To dream, right? We then move on to the main event, which is indeed the match of the night, the Women's Iron Survivor. As clumsy as I said the men's match was, the Women's Iron Survivor, for almost every bit of it, was picture perfect clean. I don't think I saw a botch, with the exception of the one in my own mind, with the finish of the match. And I'll talk about that now. So we're getting down the last 10 or so seconds of the match. And Stephanie rolls up Giulia and tries to pin her with that rolling pin where she rolls onto her legs. And it's 1-2. And Giulia doesn't necessarily kick out as much as Stephanie kind of keeps rolling a little more than she wanted. And Giulia kind of just falls off the pin. And I was like, well, maybe that would make sense. Okay, maybe because the first thing Stephanie does is retry to pin her. And I was like, wow, maybe Stephanie was supposed to get a 3 here. They didn't get the 3, so she has to try to rush to get the 3. And the clock runs out before she can get it. Because Giulia, when they tell her, she looks up and she's like, 2, I win? I win 2? She is completely surprised, it looks like, that she's won this match. Mm-hmm. Which, again, it's my own fantasy booking in my head here that something went wrong and that she wasn't supposed to win the match. It doesn't seem like that's the case because Booker and Vic are right on it that Giulia's won. The confetti is green, which matches Giulia's attire and performance a whole lot more.
And we get streamers.
Stephanie.
Yeah. Everything.
We got confetti. We didn't necessarily get streamers. We got confetti. There is a difference. As an ROH loyalist, there is a difference. But I want you two ladies to talk about the match as a whole and how good this was. So we'll start with Santana. Why don't we go ahead with you? Because you've been able to make Astrid starstruck every time that we've gone to you first. So let's see if we can do it again.
Okay, so with the starting of the match, I did not expect it to be Giulia and Wren starting the match at all whatsoever. I will say that I really thought that Wren was going to go through this entire match with not even be able to pin anybody. She was a sacrificial lamb throughout this entire match. She got out the box. She got put back in the box. Tape seal, send it to the shipper, and then pick it up at UPS. That's exactly. And then she got, returned or sender. Back, it was like multiple times, but this is like, okay, is she gonna get
Yeah.
at least one or something? Like, she was just put here because they needed somebody, And I know people were saying like her and Soul is gonna be the one eating the pins or whatever, but let me tell you something. Soul Ruca, she is one of my favorites. I absolutely love her. I think it ain't even like she even tore her ACL. The way she moves in the ring is so smooth. Her finisher just comes out of nowhere, and she does a lot of amazing things. Now, seeing Giulia, Zaria, and Stephanie, all three of them in this match, I was just like, this is meant for them, honestly, because you have three new girls coming in, dominating this women's division, and for this to be their first Iron Survivor match, they're absolutely amazing. They are hitting their spots. They are doing some crazy move sets and just really allowing them to get a chance to shine and everything. Stephanie and Giulia match each other's freak. I don't care what nobody say. Like the headbutt that they were doing to each other, like the eye contact, girl. We're shipping y'all for real. Seriously, put them on a t-shirt. But I just like throughout the entire thing, it was so fun to watch. Like the last ending part was like, oh my god. Okay, everybody has something. Who is going to take the lead in this? And it got real close where I thought it would have been Stephanie. I thought maybe she had that little bit of time where she was able to do so. And it just happened to be Giulia getting that victory. Really wasn't expecting her to win. I thought maybe we would have given it, maybe it would have went to either Zaria or Stephanie, because those two do have a victory over Roxanne. They both have pinned her in a match. So I thought maybe it would have been between those two. Wren girl, congratulations. You did what you need to do. So Ruca did absolutely amazing. She could have had an opportunity too. But yeah, shout out to Giulia. I think she did great. Maybe this could set up something with Giulia and Stephanie in the long run. I don't really know where this takes Zaria though, in a sense, because she's definitely one of the powerhouses that NXT Women's Division actually needs, but I don't think they really have. Everybody's all, gymnastic and, flippy, girly, and Zaria's like, I'm here to beat all y'all ass today. I don't care who you are. Put all 15 of you in the ring with me. I'm ready to just F6 y'all off this ring. But I absolutely enjoy it. It was my match of the night. I'm not gonna lie. Way better than the men. Way better. And they deserve that main event spot, and they definitely proved and showed that. So that's all I got.
Miss Astrid.
I feel like the only part was at the beginning. I feel like with Giulia and Wren, I feel like it took a little bit of for them to like, really catch each other's like style and get into it. So I feel like they struggled a little bit at first, and it was really kind of quiet. And I was concerned of how the match was gonna go. And then my brother said, "I thought you said the girls were gonna do better than the men," and I was like, "Shoot, this is not starting off great for me." But I'm glad that it picked up from there. Um, for me though, I feel like I know obviously the match is supposed to be 25 minutes, but not only did it have that awkward ending, but it ended at an awkward time as well, because it ended at like 9:45, which I thought was pretty odd. So I was thinking, what if Stephanie was supposed to get that pin and have that two-way tie? And then what happens when you have a tie between both of them? How do you break that off? And I felt like they could have had enough time to do something between with both of them here to end the show. And that's the part that it just felt awkward to me. My brother's like, "Oh, but it just happens like that." I'm like, "Yeah, but usually the pay-per-view ends like right on the dot. Like it would have ended at 10, for example, instead of like 9:45." So I was wondering if maybe that was what the confusion was. If maybe Stephanie was supposed to get that pin and they both get the two. So how do you end the 25-minute match and they both have the two falls at the same time here? But I think it like the way Santana was going, I was also thinking if we can add that layer that is supposed to be Giulia versus Roxanne or New Year's Evil. But then Zaria can say, well, I got a pin over the champion. Stephanie can say, I got one too. And what if something like that get added later on, perhaps? Or maybe you just have Giulia do the first match alone, and then they get added later on, something along those lines. But to me, the MVP of this match was definitely Soul. I feel like she was that person that she was all over the place, showing off everything that she had in herself, doing the double soul snatcher, and then Zaria and Giulia leaving sliding out at the same time. I was like, oh my gosh, that was incredible to watch. And then as Wren is coming out of the box, she catches her right there and then, because she's climbing the ropes as Wren is coming in, and the timing of that was just amazing to watch. And this is when I thought this is why Wren is in this match, because of the stuff with the timing, because she's the one that has that kind of experience, being that she's the one that has the indie experience here in the U.S. So she knows a little bit different from one the rest of the girls do. But the thing that I always say about the Iron Survivor is the fact that it's 25 minutes, and it's like I'm itching for more. Like I wanted more from this because it was doing so well. I didn't want it to end, and I'm like, dang it, why did the 25 minutes have to be? It doesn't feel like 25 minutes, to be honest. And I didn't want it to be over either. But again, I was like, so I feel like she was that one with the breakout performance in this match. And I like the teasing they gave us between Giulia and Stephanie, because those 2 times that they looked at each other, they wanted to face off, and then something would happen and break off right away. And we only got that part with the hip, but it was like very short lived. So I know that that's something they keep teasing, like, we're going to give it to you, but we're just going to give you like little crumbs here and there. And that was about it in this match. But in Zaria just kicking ass, and I was like, the way she just like spear here and F5 over there and a moonsault over here. I was like, woman, what else are you going to do in this match? She was bringing out everything here. So again, I feel like it was very nicely done. And I like the beginning of the match because some of the girls were just going for like submissions, trying to get that score in there somehow. And when we had Soul at the beginning too, I like how they go from like, I'm giving you a submission and I'm giving you a submission. That's how they started at the beginning of the match. And then it changed later on, depending on who entered. I feel like the style kind of changed throughout the match, and it wasn't entirely the same. But again, I was like, I feel like they deserve this main event. I'm just waiting for that moment that we get Roxanne having that main event, because I feel like every time she could have had the main event as champion, it didn't happen. And that's the only thing I feel like I'm missing from this reign. And I really wanted that to happen. But hopefully for the next one, she'll get it. I feel like they definitely deserved it for this one. They really showed out during this, like, so much during this match. And again, I feel like Wren had her spots of like, I don't want to say comedic, but she has that timing that a bunch of these girls don't have. And that part of like being in the box the longest. And I thought we was going to be that person with no pins at all. So when she got hers, I was so surprised. But again, I like having that, that 5-way tie at one point during the match, because it gives you that anticipation of like, who's really going to be the next one to get that pin and get and win the match. But yeah, I feel like they did incredible. They deserved their spot so much tonight. It just chef's kiss.
Yeah, I think this match was fantastic. I thought that the submission style was something that we never see from the Iron Survivor. And I thought that was really cool that we had so many of them trying to get submissions. And we even have Booker T and his nonsense being like, they need to go for pinfalls. Booker, it's a fucking match. If they get the submission, fall. Like, come on, Booker, get with the program. Also, at one point, Booker T did say, and I quote, if they're scoring this match on points, Wren Sinclair is winning. Booker, of course they're scoring it on points. Points are the things you get when you get a pinfall or a submission victory. You get a point, and it goes on the card. Oh my God. I love everything. The 3 mainstays, they did exactly what they needed to do, and they did fantastic. Giulia, Stephanie, and Zaria did not disappoint. They were as advertised, as fantastic as we thought they were going to be. They did great. Good for them. Soul was fantastic. Soul did a lot of really interesting stuff. She did all the Soul Ruca stuff that she needed to do, and she was doing fantastic in this. My MVP for this match is Wren Sinclair. I thought she was a delight in this match. She showed she can hang with every single one of these talents, that she can have. She had enough one-on-one time with each of them that you got to see that she could have a competent and interesting wrestling match with every single one of them, considering she's already faced both Stephanie and Zaria one-on-one. And she had the 5-minute start with Giulia, which was fantastic. I thought Wren Sinclair was a star here. I knew she wasn't going to win. We all knew she wasn't going to win. She was put in this match as a thank you and to give her a push. They are clearly pushing her towards something. Hopefully, it's the Women's North American Championship. I think that would be a great place for her to settle. I think she will be fantastic in that division. I think she will be the biggest babyface, regardless if the Candy Crew are faces or heels. She will be the biggest babyface in the world when she challenges and defeats Fallon Henley in that match. Because honestly, had they not shown the graphic of the women's tag match for Tuesday night, I would have forgotten that Fallon Henley was the Women's North American Champion. This match was sensational. I loved every minute of it. They utilized, literally down to the second, they utilized every second in this match. They put Sol Ruca in the penalty box with under a minute to go. I didn't think they'd do that. They put Wren Sinclair in the penalty box with just under a minute to go after she gets out of the penalty box with 0 points. I thought that was a uniquely creative way to get to what I thought was going to be a 5-way tie. And I thought they were going to have Ava come out, try to figure something out, and push it to Tuesday. And be like, we got a main event. We got a great main event. Or they could have done those extra 15 minutes and just go, next fall wins. And it's just a regular fatal 5-way. There were a bunch of ways they could have done it. Like Ashford said, having Giulia and Stephanie go head to head, one fall to a finish between Stephanie and Giulia to end this pay-per-view would have been spectacular. There were so many different ways. As long as Sol Ruca and Wren Sinclair didn't win, and again, no offense to Sol Ruca. I love Sol Ruca. She's great. She couldn't win this match. There was no way in hell that she needed to win this match. I love her to death. I think she's great. But as long as any of the other 3 won, I don't think it mattered which one won. Because I think Zaria versus Roxanne Perez, like you guys both said, they have the singles win. So both Zaria and Stephanie basically have a match. I think there's a potential that after this, both of them come to Ava and be like, look, I know Giulia's the number 1 contender. I pinned the champion. I want the match. But instead of just having it like all of it, what if Roxanne has to run the gauntlet? What if we bring back the gauntlet from because remember, there's this storyline that NXT's been telling for the better part of a year with Roxanne Perez and Ava, where Roxanne Perez, for some reason, thinks that Ava hates her and that she's always trying to screw her. What better way for that storyline to finish in Roxanne's time in NXT to finish with at New Year's Evil having to run the gauntlet and letting Roxanne have the last 45 minutes of the show to take on Zaria first, Stephanie second, and Giulia third. And if Roxanne loses any of those matches, whoever wins has to continue running the gauntlet. So that we don't know if it's just Giulia versus Roxanne at the end. You could have Roxanne fall at the first hurdle and then do Zaria versus Stephanie. And then Stephanie versus, there's a fun way to do this where you can really do something different and interesting. They won't. I know this is my fantasy booking where they won't do something like this. Much like I thought it was a much better idea to have made the Women's Iron Survivor Roxanne defending the championship, and the champion's advantage being choosing her place in the Iron Survivor. Does she want to be starting the match to be able to have the most opportunity to get the most pinfalls? Does she want to come out last to have the best opportunity to be the freshest and try to score the most pinfalls in that 10-minute span? Or does she want to pick somewhere in between and let that be her championship advantage to be like, this is how I determine what's going to happen? And again, this goes back into telling the story that Ava hates Roxanne. And what I would have done is I would have pulled out both Sol and Wren, and I would have put in Cora. I think that would have been an interesting storyline to have Cora both being there trying to help Roxanne and also take her championship all at the same time. Because don't forget, she's still hanging around here. And I don't think Giulia's winning that title clean. I think there's going to be a heel. Can a heel turn heel on another heel? Because I feel like Cora's going to screw Roxanne at some point. But I thought this was great.
Wouldn't mind it.
Fantasy bookings, and I've taken way too much time.
No, I wouldn't mind it.
I mean, I feel like it would have been funny just to have Cora try to score a pin on Roxanne and Roxanne turning around going, "What? You're supposed to help me!" That kind of thing, that kind of interaction, that would have been funny in this match too. So, who knows?
We do have, before we get ready to get going,
Yeah.
we have Will saying, I don't think it was a mistake. I think it's a setup for Stephanie to turn heel because she looked mad at Giulia because she might maybe that's a possibility. I'd be fine with that. Turning either Stephanie or Giulia heel isn't necessarily a bad idea. I'd be down for that on either side. It doesn't really matter to me which one which. Will says that he was surprised to see Zaria do a moonsault. I feel much like Rhea Ripley. I feel like that's something that's easily in her repertoire. I feel like Rhea Ripley is kind of like the blueprint of what Zaria is going to be. I think they have I think Zaria is slightly more built, but not quite as tall as Rhea. Obviously, yeah. It's been a while since I saw the two of them side by side, but I think Rhea's a bit taller. But I love Zaria. I think she's great. Ultra talented. Moonsaults are always fun to see, especially from people that you don't expect them from. Mm-hmm. But we want to thank Santana for joining us, for Ashford pulling you out of retirement. Tell the good people where they can find all of the things that you are doing, or just to go ahead and get a vibe of all the things that you think when you tweet on the internet.
Well, I normally tell people you can Google me, but you can find me on social media under the name Holistic. I am a real life heel. I live my life on violence and chaos every day. I just choose to do it when I feel like I just feel like I want to stir the pot a bit sometimes. And yeah, I mean, I have my own YouTube channel called Holistic as well. But it's more so for my gaming stuff where I truly play Don't Eat My Rise, and I really, really curse everybody out because they always screw over my character every year. And hopefully for 2025, they do not screw over my character again. We're gonna have some big problems. But other than that's pretty much it. Outside of wrestling, I'm probably watching anime or going to the movies. That's about it. And playing my game. I'm definitely on Fortnite. So if you want to play me on Fortnite, you can do that. If you want to play Marvel Rivals, you can play that. We can play that too. That just came out. So I'm down for whatever. And thank you guys for having me too. Appreciate it.
I played my first game of Marvel Rivals. It was a culture
How you feel
shock.
about the shark? Are you love the shark?
No, I played as Adam Warlock. I like Adam Warlock. I like being a little bit of a healer. I tend to play support.
I hate the shark. Honestly, nerf the shark. Please. I'm tired of getting gobbled up and you throwing me off. I'm sick of it. Everybody who has a shark on their team, I'm reporting you.
And also, are you playing OG Season 1 Fortnite or are you playing Chapter 6?
Oh my gosh.
As the gamer here.
I'm playing everything.
Okay.
Everybody.
Did you see their announcement today?
I'm riding on the OG because that's where I started out.
Did you hear that Fortnite made an announcement today that they are bringing in a first-person 5-on-5 battler called Ballistic? And that's going to be coming out December 11th.
I think they want to. I think they need. Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun. First person though, in Fortnite is it's a little weird. Yeah. I don't really like first person like that too though, because it looks in my eyes. But I'm here for it.
Astrid, speaking of things that people are here for, it's mostly you, definitely not me. Where can the people find you on the internet?
Oh gosh. You can find me if you're here. You're most likely on my YouTube channel. So if you hit the thumbs up on the video, we appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button and click on the bell to be notified when I upload or go live. You can find me again on Tuesday with Ed, at least for this week, and then the week after, Andre's confirmed. So I get Andre 2/3 subbing for Ed for one night. One night only, Andre. Don't get too excited. Other than that, you can find me on my Twitter, Blue Skies, Astrid Pizarro, and my Instagram and Threads, Astrid Pizarro 20.
You can find me on the Twitter and the Blue Sky at edfries12584. I still don't really know what I'm doing on Blue Sky, so help me out. Tell me what I'm supposed to do over there. That'd be great. You can find me on twitch.tv/edfries2002 when I decide to do any gaming content. I really need to get into that. I haven't done much of that gaming content in too long. So that could be something fun to do. For the rest of the year, as far as taking over is concerned, Astrid mentioned 2 of the weeks. We're also going to mention that we are not going to be on the air for taking over on the 24th, and we are not going to be on the air for the 31st as well. So unfortunately, my last taking over of the year will indeed be next week's show on Tuesday, because I like Astrid said, I will be live at the show, which appears to be a double taping, because the show is scheduled for us to enter the arena at like 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Dang.
I think the bell time's like 6:37. So it sounds like they're going to be doing a taping for the Christmas Eve show at the same time as my show. So I will probably not be able to make a guest appearance on the show as they recap the show, because I won't know where in the show I'm at. So it'll be fun to see, but I'm very excited to do that. And yeah, like we said, taking over will be back in the new year for New Year's Evil on, I believe it'll be the 6th then, correct? The 7th. 7th.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, it'll be this. Oh no, yeah, Tuesday night the 7th. Yeah. So Raw will debut on Netflix on the 6th, and then taking over will also be in Los Angeles on the 7th. WWE making sure they get the most use out of the Los Angeles area during that week. Keep your eyes peeled here tomorrow, as Bobby Munson and Andre 2/3 and Mark Talks Wrestling will be here with Point of View, as they talk about all the great football picks that we've got coming up and anything else they decide to talk about. I'm sure there'll be talk about shitty soccer stuff. So if you like soccer, go ahead and enjoy that. I don't like soccer, so I trash talk it a little bit. But Mark and Bobby are big fans, so I'm sure they're going to talk about that. Me and Bobby are catching up. We gained a couple points this week on Mark, I believe. So, we're getting there. Slowly but surely, we're trying to climb our way back into this. So we don't lose and have to, in the middle of January in Boston and Saskatchewan, try to dump ice water on us, because that doesn't sound like a good idea in the middle of January.
Sounds amazing. What are you talking about?
Well, then you know what? You can join us. Well, no, it's Florida. It'll probably still be 60 degrees out for you.
No, I've been in the 40s this week, honey.
Oh, baby.
In the 50s and the 50s.
Oh, no. The 40s. Make sure if you do want to follow our local establishment, you can follow all these wonderful places. It's Alway Podcasts on almost everything except YouTube and Twitch, where we are at our local establishment. The same for Facebook. Thank you all for joining. We greatly appreciate it, and we will see you all next time. Have a great night, and goodbye.
I am in misery.